Thank you so much for this opportunity, John, Twitch, everyone out there. It's such a special time of year for all of us. And when we were asked to come in, we were kind of confused as to what to do, but we wanted to do something special. And it just so happened that I have been working for the last 3 years on a stage version of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Not Mortal Kombat 3. Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. And tonight we are going to do a live reading of the first draft of the second scene of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, the stage play. Joining me with me are two guest stars, Cricket Arison, who will be playing Sonya Blade. Thank you, Cricket. And Alan Resnick, who will be playing Sub-Zero. My name is Robbie Ratcliffe, and I will be playing the part of Scorpion.
Yeah!
Now this is a live reading, never before seen or heard. This script is hot off the presses, so bear with us, and I think we're all going to have a lot of fun, and maybe we'll learn something that we didn't know about Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Is it good?
That sounds great. I can't wait.
Are we ready?
Yeah!
All right. Just so you know, I will be reading stage directions during this, and so whenever I read a stage direction, I will say stage direction, and I will walk forward to let you know that I've left the scene behind and am reading stage directions. Thank you. Interior subway station. Stage direction. Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and Sonya Blade stand together in a ruined subway station. Lights are flickering, loose paper is blowing around because when the end of the world comes, no one picks up trash anymore. A subway train filled with demons careens through the background, screeching and sparking, an apt symbol of how everything has changed and not for the better. The fighters watch the demon train sadly. Ever since Shao Kahn decided to invade their world using the pretext of resurrecting his dead wife, who is also Katana's mother, but not Melina's mother, the subway card filled with demons is the least of their worries.
There goes another subway train. It's a wonder the electric third rail is still working and powering them. I guess regular investments in public transit infrastructure paid off. In a way.
I've seen much worse than demon trains when I was a disembodied soul climbing my way back out of the pit. And not like the pit filled with spikes from Mortal Kombat 1, or the other one that's just a stone floor from Mortal Kombat 2. I'm talking about the pit that the afterlife is in. It sucks down there.
I can't believe that we lost Mortal Kombat 2.
Sub-Zero, listen! First off, I know that you're the real Sub-Zero now that you have your mask back on. This time. Okay, now that that's out of the way. Sub-Zero. We didn't lose Mortal Kombat 2, not really. It was just that Shao Kahn realized that rather than risk losing another Mortal Kombat tour, after Liu Kang won 2 in a row with our help, kind of, that he could try something different in order to enter and conquer Earthrealm.
I'm starting to understand, but please continue.
Right. He decided to resurrect his dead wife, Sindel. He used the resurrection as a reason to come to Earth, but that resurrection and other things have caused almost everyone on Earth to lose their souls in the process.
My God, it's like none of the other tournaments mattered at all. All those one-on-one best out of 3 matches, and for what? With Earthrealm, will Earthrealm ever truly be safe from Shao Kahn, Shang Tsung, Goro, Kitaro, Kintaro, Motaro, Shiva, Baraka, Melina, and all the other monsters from Outworld?
If only Johnny Cage were here. Oh, but he's not here. Oh, he's never coming back. Damn it, you're dead, Johnny.
Hey, we all miss the light that Johnny Cage brought into our lives. I need to tell you all something. I've decided to leave my ninja clan. I'm quitting.
The Lin Kuei?
Quay.
The Lin Kuei? But Why? They trained you to be one of the world's top assassins.
You mean one of the world's greatest murderers?
Scorpion, not now. You two can settle your differences once we have returned Shao Kahn to the Outworld. Subby, I appreciate one less international criminal assassin to worry about, but aren't you worried you'll get in a lot of trouble? The Lin Kuei don't seem like the kind of people who hand out retirement packages, unless the packages are coffins, and the people who try to retire are in the coffins, dead. As an experienced international crime fighter, I've seen this happen too many times. Damn it, how many more friends do I have to lose?
Stage direction. Sonya Blade paces the room, thinking hard. We don't know what she's thinking about, but we can assume she's thinking about her backstory. If there were psychic characters, we could hear her thoughts and speak them out loud. Then we would know what she's thinking.
I have something I'd like to say. In the last few years, unbeknownst to me, until just recently, the Lin Kuei clan has started experimenting with cyborg assassins in place of human ones. It's very dishonorable. In other words, there is no honor in using robots as assassins, or at least substantially less honor. That is why I initially had started this new chapter in my life, not wearing my mask, so people would know that I wasn't affiliated with my previous employer/crime syndicate. Unfortunately, this may have also been a bad choice because I looked too much like other fighters, like Kano and Stryker, and I lost a lot of that mystique that had held people's interests for a while. You know what? I think I looked better with the mask on, so I put the mask back on, okay? I had no choice. Am I afraid? You better believe I'm afraid. Sure, I'm afraid. As far as clans of assassins go, the Lin Kuei is a really, really bad one. And they're also very good at what they do, assassinating people all over the world. I could be in danger. I could be in danger right now. I don't even know who I am anymore.
I had no idea. I'm so sorry, Sub-Zero.
When I learned about the cyborg ninjas, I thought that it was so bad that I almost didn't care that Shao Kahn was illegally coming to Earth to enact his insane plan that ignores the tournament as a method of determining whether he gets to invade other dimensions or not. Can you imagine how much it hurt me? After all the years of brutal trainings that characters like me endured to acquire high-level skills and abilities to perform magic spells like shooting ice balls, like what I can do, after going through all that, our masters decided to use simple machines whose training could be downloaded onto a hard disk. Ha! Written in code. What about the other code? I asked the bosses of the Lin Kuei, what about the Code of Assassins, which I followed and so did others. And the bosses wouldn't answer me because they're so stupid. So I stormed out and I said, hello. This is Sub-Zero, and I am no longer affiliated with this organization. And I could see them watching from their windows, shaking their heads. And I pointed at each one, at each boss, and I said no. I pointed and I said no. And then a cab picked me up and took me to the airport. I didn't check any luggage. And all that had to happen in a very short period of time, because the time between the end of Mortal Kombat 2 and the beginning of Shao Kahn's invasion was not long, so a lot of anger and confusion was being processed very quickly. And while I was trying to nail down all the facts, I was so upset on the airplane, and I decided that no one would ever tell me what to do ever again. I didn't care if I died or not. I had changed my mind.
What changed your mind?
Despite my disappointment in the fraction of mankind that belongs to the higher commanders of the Lin Kuei criminal organization, the ones who I pointed at and said no, despite them, I still think that the Earthrealm deserves the independence to decide its own fate. I guess when it comes to it, I believe that humankind is worth saving. I guess I just like people. They are always doing neat things and living their own lives, and I just think that is so cool and so great. Keep it up. You may not have been able to glean that from what you knew about me up until this point, but people will always find a way to surprise each other. Mark my words.
So that's how this invasion has changed you, huh? I wonder how it's changed other people. Not just fighters, regular people who didn't die. But mostly I'm interested in fighters willing to take on Shao Kahn's minions in one-on-one best out of 3 matches. And I wonder what it's like for them. Are they scared that things will never be the same? Are they finding food to eat? Do they miss the sun in the sky? Do they get chased around at night?
Sub-Zero, listen to me. When I first came back from hell, I had only one goal in mind: to burn you alive using the power of fire, which is like my burning need for revenge. But hearing you describe so beautifully the importance of maintaining Earthrealm's independence from Outworld or any other parallel dimension has made me feel like confused about other things. We may never be friends, Sub-Zero, but we can probably work together, at least until the shadow of Shao Kahn is lifted from this world. And then, and perhaps only then, will I be able to find the peace I so deserve, either by setting you in fire or cutting you in half with my rope harpoon. It's also possible that I won't do this and that I will let you live and figure out something else. The current situation with Shao Kahn outweighs any lingering resentments I have towards you. If I let you live, you'll know that it's because I've forgiven you for helping out with the invasion.
Thank you, Scorpion. That means a lot to me.
Oh, jeez. If only I hadn't been tied up the entire time in Shao Kahn's in the background of Mortal Kombat 2.
What are the other Earthrealm... Where are the other Earthrealm fighters?
Pay close attention. Nightwolf is fighting Shiva in the bank. You know, the one that is right below the rooftops?
Nighthawk?
Nightwolf. Also, Stryker is fighting Reptile in that cave that has a big animal head filled with a green tornado of souls. Human souls, presumably trapped in the process of Shao Kahn's merciless plan. He has turned them into a tornado. He is capable of doing something crazy.
Hold on. Did you say Reptile, the hidden fighter from the first Mortal Kombat who turned out to be an actual reptile in Mortal Kombat 2?
Yes.
The same reptile who takes his mask off and spits acid and can also make a big bubble that pops and sends you flying into the air?
Yes, Reptile is back, along with Katana and another woman named Jade, who is like Katana and Melina but uses a pole instead of a fan or daggers, but is also green like Reptile. It's unclear if she is also a real reptile like Reptile.
I'm pleased to see that I'm here now for this third Mortal Kombat. I wasn't before. At first, I wasn't, and it seemed like an oversight. Tell us where the rest of the fighters are.
I was just about to continue to do that. Here I go. Cabal is currently fighting Kano in the church.
Are you talking about the church that has the Mortal Kombat dragon stained glass window and those big-ass candles?
Let me think about that. Yes.
What a strange church. I wonder if the candles do anything if someone is launched into them at the end of a match.
You would think so because of how big and upfront they are, but no.
Ah, Sonya Blade! It must frustrate you whenever you are forced to fight people who aren't Kano, considering that was the whole reason you got involved in these tournaments.
Kano killed my partner, and I swore that I would track him down to the ends of the earth. Not only that, but I also tracked him beyond the ends of the earth. I guess you could say that I went out of my jurisdiction in order to track him down. But I paid the price because I was not able to participate in Mortal Kombat 2.
Stage direction. Long pause. Sonya Blade is thinking hard. We don't know what she's thinking about, but we can only assume that it is about what she just said. If we only had 1 or 2 psychic characters, this could be explained clearly.
Anyway, Cyrax and Sector are fighting each other in the desert. Cyrax is inexplicably also stuck in the sand in the desert, wiggling like this.
It's more like...
I guess the Lin Kuei's perfect robot assassins have turned out to be less than perfectly reliable. They are fighting each other. I knew they'd end up doing something stupid like that. It's like I always say, don't trust criminal gangs to create autonomous tournament fighters / ninja assassins. Being human is still the best option. I love people.
Here's what I know. Cyrax just drops grenades out of his chest, like this. It seems like it wouldn't be that useful, but he also has an electric net that he grabs you and pulls you like Scorpion's harpoon. And if Cyrax chains those 2 abilities one after the other, watch out.
Come on, what about the others? Please, finish telling us about literally everyone else.
Oh, you mean Jax, Kung Lao, Liu Kang, Smoke, Sindel, Shang Tsung, Noob Saibot, Ermac, Rain, Smoke, Melina, and the other Sub-Zero?
There's what?
Two smokes. One looks like Buzz, and then one looks like Cyrex.
Sorry, there's two smokes.
And the other Sub-Zero?
Yes, where are they?
Unknown. But presumably they are all engaged in one-on-one, best out of 3 battles with each other.
Something has been bothering me. Shang Tsung can turn into almost anyone else.
Yes, he could secretly be one of us here.
Damn it! What are you trying to say?
Stage direction. Sonya Blade lunges at Scorpion, pauses, and then lunges at Sub-Zero. Clearly, the pressures of this new reality are almost too much for her to bear. Her incredible, legal, analytical mind has gone through too much and is filled with red-hot electricity. If only we had a single psychic character who could extrapolate what is happening in her head, we would know what she's thinking about. Calm yourself, Sonya Blade. It's more likely that Shang Tsung is somewhere else.
That was a close one. Shang Tsung isn't our main enemy anymore. Hey, I never thought I'd say this to you, Scorpion, but I'm glad you've decided to fight on our side.
I appreciate you saying so. It's been so long since I've had any mortal companionship with a K.
You must really miss your family.
I miss lots of things. For example, I used to sleep a lot. I would take naps in the middle of the day, and I would tell myself it would help me be more productive. When I look back, I just wish I'd been honest with myself and acknowledged that a nap in the middle of the day just meant that the workday was over in the middle of the day. I still could do other stuff, just not my regular job.
Hey, do you guys remember that guy in Mortal Kombat 2 who was half on fire? He was always on that other bridge over the pit 2. He was half on fire and he was fighting a guy who looked kind of like Liu Kang. Did we ever get a grip on what was going on with that guy?
I hope that once we've settled all of these other issues and situations related to the invasion that I'm able to figure out some way to go to sleep again. I'm up all the time. It's helpful because a lot of other people need to sleep, and we always need need someone to stay up, and it makes sense that it's always me.
Do you do anything to make that time feel special?
I think a lot.
What do you think about?
Well, for a while I was thinking about killing Sub-Zero in his sleep.
I knew it!
But I didn't because I remembered that you have some really important special abilities with regards to freezing your enemies. When it comes to the battles that we have ahead of us, it's hard to imagine giving that up. We're going to need everyone with their powers to commit them to the cause of expelling Shao Kahn and his minions. It would be like giving up Kung Lao's hat or Raiden's lightning.
Or your harpoon.
Exactly. Getting back to what I was thinking about, once my thoughts crested that initial wave of anger and desire of vengeance towards Sub-Zero here, I started to think a lot about Earthrealm and its defenders. I really appreciate that everyone here has different skills and motivations. I really feel like as time goes on, we're starting to see how we all fit nicely like puzzle pieces into this larger context. And I hope nothing disrupts this.
That's a really healthy way of looking at everything. You know, I also got involved in these tournaments because I was looking for revenge. And it was during Mortal Kombat 2, when me and Kano were trapped right next to each other for the whole time, that I started to look for other ways to think about my life, what I was doing and where I was going. Just watching everyone fighting in front of me for what seemed like days on end, I initially felt really useless and naive. I was like, Sonya, look at what all your friends and allies are accomplishing without you. And it was super upsetting. And Kano and me don't ever talk, and he's probably out there right now betraying us to Shao Kahn anyway, and clearly I couldn't express any of my issues with Shao Kahn, but then I was like, Sonya Blade, you need to take a wider view of this situation. And I did. I started thinking about other people my age and how they were probably spending their days on their phones, at a desk, in traffic, in a building with too many doors and not enough windows. And here I am in another world seeing things that most people my age can't even imagine. And we made friendships with normal people from the other world.
I guess it's all a matter of perspective.
Yes, exactly. And don't get me wrong, it was stressful to be tied up in the background of Shao Kahn's arena. Standing up for hours on end, day in, day out, was really painful, especially for my knees. But at least I was outside. Now we're back on Earth, and it's very depressing because so many people died because of interdimensional magic and necromancy.
The thing about Outworld that I really miss is that is that one forest where all the trees had faces.
Yeah. Katana, she turned out to be our ally after all. Katana took us on a short tour of lots of places like that, all over Outworld once the tournament was over. I wish I'd taken a little more time to explore and discover unique and interesting things about Outworld. Now we're back in our home dimension, and everything has changed. For instance, there are a lot more gargoyles than there used to be.
Hold on. I didn't finish talking about the trees with faces. Some of the trees deeper in the forest, the forest where they had some fights in Mortal Kombat 2? Well, those trees, they can talk. I mean, sure, there's the one in the main part that's like,
Well,
but
it's like...
okay. There's there's the one in the main part that's like,
You just...
okay.
They got it. You can get it.
There's the one in the main part that kind of groans like, but further back, there are some other trees that don't have to watch people fight in front of them all the time. And it's really interesting because they just talk to each other. They're really calm and normal. And I couldn't understand what they were saying because it was in a different kind of tree language, but I still thought it was very cool and very interesting. And I just kind of wish that I could have gone to Outworld as a visitor, I wish I could have gone and seen all those places as like a tourist and keep my anonymity. It's such an interesting place. There's that weird purple wasteland and the one room on top of a tower where the clouds move really fast and there's a floating monk. There's also one stage with 2 floating monks and a portal with lightning in it. And then there's a hallway with spikes on the ceiling. It's very different. It's very unique. That's the problem with these Mortal Kombat tournaments. In most cases, it's just you and another person fighting most of the time. But every once in a while, there's this big crowd, and it just kind of feels like this big thing, and everyone is just checking everyone else out in this way that feels kind of, voyeuristic. Does that make any sense? It's like every interaction just feels really...
Like it feels like it needs to be sensational.
Yes, like it needs to be sensational. Exactly. I just wanted to take some time to really appreciate the experience. Be in the moment, not worry about getting punched into a ceiling of spikes or acid baths. All this fighting is stressful. It's tiring. It's tiring for me, and I get to sleep every night. I can't imagine what it's like to just be up forever.
You know how at the end of a long day, your mind starts to slow down and your thoughts kind of drift away while you're focused on just getting to bed and closing your eyes for a few hours?
Yes.
That doesn't happen to me anymore.
Have you tried talking to Raiden about it?
Yeah, I brought it up once, but he was about to fight Baraka, so he was in another place, and he didn't really seem interested. And honestly, I was still pretty focused on killing Sub-Zero here, so it's unclear how much help I was really focused on getting at the time. It's the strangest thing, but even though I literally have nothing but time on my hands, I still don't feel like I have any time to actually figure out what I need. Like maybe I should learn really complicated mathematics or physics, I don't know, something that requires long, unbroken sessions of thought. Regular scientists, astrophysicists, whatever, they get burned out eventually, and I don't. Imagine if I could help in some way in the search for answers. If I could just figure out a way to be useful, to do something, well, maybe I wouldn't feel like it's such a curse what I've got going on. On the other hand, I could also just spend that time figuring out how to just die again so I can finally join my family in the afterlife. Forget it.
At some point, you and me need to sit down and really discuss what happened to your family, because I just feel like we're not on the same page with that.
Did you guys hear that?
Stage direction. Everything starts to shake for a few moments. The lights start flashing. Dust is shaken loose from the ceiling and drips like water. But you can't drink this water. It won't quench your thirst. Quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. Drinking dust will just make you more thirsty. Don't do it.
Oh, is it another subway train?
It could be anything. Stage direction. Nothing happens. The shaking stops and the lights return to normal. Thankfully, no one puts dust in their mouths.
Huh. Nothing happened. I wonder if it was just an earthquake caused by Shao Kahn's magical powers.
I hope we can get this all under control soon. It turns out that making 2 dimensions into 1 is making earthquakes.
Stage direction. Sonya Blade stares at all of the dirt that is shaken loose. What is she thinking? Is she thinking about trying to eat or drink the dirt? Unfortunately, there are no psychic characters that can tell us what she's thinking.
Don't drink the dirt.
We're gonna do everything we can. Luckily, there are elements of the military who are taking on some of the weaker outworld foot soldiers who are like Baraka, while fighters like us with sort of magical powers deal with the stronger enemies.
After his initial victory, Shao Kahn must have been pretty surprised by the amount of resistance he's facing. He had a throne built in that cave. Not the one with the soul tornado, the other cave. You have to wonder why he didn't try to pull off this evil resurrection trick during an earlier period of human history before computers and fighter jets and machine guns.
Well, it's possible that Sindel was alive back then. In that case, he would not have had to bring her back from the dead. It's also possible that time works differently in Outworld than it does here. It is really important that we don't dwell too heavily on the details of all these events. Ugh, I can't keep all these events straight. It's really confusing and there's not a lot to go on.
Hey, what city are we in?
Stage direction. Suddenly a subway car enters the station and stops. A bunch of Barako-looking warriors jump out and start fighting the 3 Earth warriors. In the melee that ensues, Scorpion uses his harpoon and it goes through 3 enemies at once. When he pulls out the harpoon, there is a lot of blood, all red. The outworld creatures also have red blood. Sub-Zero shoots a bunch of ice out of his hand, freezing enemies and then smashing the frozen enemies into tiny blocks of gross ice. Sonya Blade shoots those weird pink rings out of her hands and knocks a bunch of soldiers onto the subway tracks into the path of another train, which crashes into the parked train, and there's a large explosion and everyone is killed except for Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and Sonya Blade.
Hey, what city are we in?
That was a close one. Lucky for me, that other train was coming from the opposite direction. There's so much death.
You have to wonder about their lives before they came to Earth. Even though most of their faces are just sharp teeth, they still have eyes and nose. Do you think they ever walked in gardens and smelled plants? Do you think they ever saw artworks that moved them to tears? Do you wonder if there was any love in their lives beyond the naked adoration of Shao Kahn? We're so quick to kill them because obviously they are trying to kill us and they have swords growing out of their arms. But do we ever stop to wonder how different we actually are from them?
It's such an interesting idea, especially from a being whose hatred manifests itself as fire. In my normal lane of work as a regular soldier, I've often wondered the same things just about my enemies here in this dimension. It's another thing entirely to wonder these things about people from other dimensions. At some point, we should probably try to capture one of them and befriend them in the hope that they can answer some of these questions you have and possibly create a bridge of understanding that undermines Shao Kahn's ambitions as a conqueror above all else. That would be a logical thing to do. I hope we do it.
You know who's weird? Raiden. Raiden is so weird.
Hey! Raiden's the whole reason we've survived for as long as we have. Show some respect for Raiden. He could just as easily end up fighting us instead of helping us. But he's a good guy and doesn't need to be.
Yeah, okay, Raiden's been a help, Sure. I'm just saying he's always got 1 foot in and 1 foot out of these experiences. Like in Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, he just decided to fight in those tournaments. And he kept his power kind of at a level sort of even with everyone else's. I mean, he didn't need to do that. I mean, yeah, sure, I guess it's a nice gesture, but isn't it weird that he's decided not to show up when things have gotten really bad now, during Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3?
Well, he's probably embarrassed, don't you think? I mean, he gets all of us involved for the first tournament and says that if we win, we get all this stuff. And then the second tournament happens almost immediately with all these new caveats, and we win both of them. And then Shao Kahn decides to completely circumnavigate all of those rules and just do what he wants anyway. I think Raiden is probably just feeling really powerless.
I just don't understand. I bet you anything he shows up after all this is settled and tells us what we're supposed to do next. And when that happens, I'm gonna say something. Now, I'm just warning everyone right now, I might be very critical and I could end up saying something really mean. But someone needs to say something, and it shouldn't be me. Ideally, Liu Kang or Kung Lao would be...
Kung Lao.
Kung Lao. Ideally, Liu Kang or Kung Lao would be the ones to say something, but they're usually just doing their own thing. So I guess it's gonna have to be me to say something to Raiden because everyone else is too worried about hurting his feelings. Liu Kang and Kung Lao should do it, but it's gonna be me. I'm gonna have to say something. I'll keep telling everyone that. I don't care. God damn it.
No. With regards to Liu Kang, that's unfair. Here goes. He worked really hard to win the first 2 tournaments. He had to kill someone. I won't say who, but that person is dead and won't be coming back. Hey, Liu Kang turned into a dragon and ate that person. He's been going through an identity crisis. I mean, can you imagine being so wound up in your own mind, your own need to win at any cost that you actually transform into a dragon and eat your opponent? I mean, without ever knowing you had that ability in the first place? I'm sure. In some ways, that sounds really interesting, unique, and exciting. But you have to wonder what it does to someone physiologically. One minute, you're just having a fist fight, albeit with supernatural things like fireballs and a lot at stake. But the next, you're twice as tall, a dragon, and you just take a big bite out of the person in front of you, and half of them is gone. You ate a person, and you did not plan to do that. Think about what happens to all the molecules in your body. Think about what happens to your digestive system. Liu Kang didn't even get a chance to recover from the transformation. He had to go right back to fighting. He had no time to process. You show some patience with Liu Kang. Yeah!
Shang Tsung transforms into people all the time.
Obviously, but that's his MO. He's a sorcerer. He's used to it. He's practiced for it. Liu Kang is a monk. So is Kung Lao. Monks. Fighting monks, but monks all the same. They are trained to have self-control, complete self-control over their minds and bodies. In addition to all the trauma that Liu Kang actually went through when he turned into a dragon and ate someone, you have to also consider that he lost all of that training, all of that discipline, just poof, in the instant that it took for his skin to turn to dragon scales and his teeth to get big and sharp and his fingers to become dragon's hands and his eyes to change color. Well, he could end up having a lot of medical issues as he gets older. Oh God, I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
I see your point.
God.
I keep thinking about things I wish I'd done in life.
Like what?
Nude beaches.
Nude beaches?
Yes. My wife and I often talked about leaving our children with their grandparents and going to one of those nude beach resorts in South Africa or Brazil for a few days. Not to do any weird sex thing. I'm not interested in that. I was middle-aged when I died, and when it comes to sex, I had a pretty confident idea of who I was, and if I had any kinks, it was unrelated to nude beaches. That said, there was something that drew both my wife and I to the idea of nude beaches. We just had so many layers that we had to carry around all day, every day. We had gotten into a place in our lives where we lived comfortably and most of our needs were met. The kids were, of course, the focus of most of our extra energy and anxiety. And it just felt like life had gotten to this place where every day just felt like an unending series of performances. We felt like we were constantly just fronting these alter egos to people around us, and I know it sounds silly, but the idea of just stripping down bare and laying in the sun for a few days sounded like a very healthy thing to do as a couple who'd let a lot of external forces take over their lives. Are either of you parents?
No.
Yes. But they live with their mother and I only see them a few times a year, and I'm assuming that they died.
Scorpion, after we defeat Shao Kahn, maybe you could still do this. I'm sure that most of the nude beach resorts were destroyed, but there are so few people remaining on Earth that if you just showed up at any beach and took your clothes off, it wouldn't hurt or offend anyone.
But what if we defeat Shao Kahn and it causes everyone to just reappear? What if things go back to the way they were before the invasion? I'll just be an angry spirit wandering around the world harpooning people. We all know that's a possibility, and I'm sure that's what most of the Earthrealm fighters want to happen. I don't blame them. This post-invasion world is pretty depressing. We should be trying to change it back.
Scorpion.
Getting back to nude beaches. There's a big issue. I actually don't know what would happen if I took my clothes off. I know what will happen if I take my mask off. I'm just a skull, so I can only assume that that logic just carries all the way the rest down. If I'm correct, I don't have any skin. I wouldn't feel the sun or the breeze. There wouldn't be any sensation at all. And that sounds depressing. Listen, Sonya Blade and Sub-Zero, I know that I'm sort of the same age as you both, but let me give you some advice. Sometimes pining for something that you never got to do is better than getting it and having it not be what you wanted. Like I said before, I don't sleep, but maybe there's some time, and maybe with some time and practice, there's a place that I can find, like a meditation place where I can go inside of my head, a nude beach just for me and my dead wife, who was murdered before the first Mortal Kombat even started, and lest we forget our dead kids. In this meditative vision I'm working on, our kids are with their dead grandparents watching the uplifting Christian programming we usually all watched as a family, forever. I just want to reiterate that the nude beach had nothing to do with sex.
Carpal tunnel.
What?
I have carpal tunnel syndrome. Before all this, before the tournaments and the sorcery and necromancy and the interdimensional battles, I had just made an appointment with a physical therapist to help me with my carpal tunnel syndrome. This wrist. All I had to do was sleep on it wrong and it would hurt for days on end. People think that I was this unstoppable crime fighter, but they only saw me busting bad guys on the news or doing my crazy special moves, you know? But when you're part of an international police force and you're dealing with different countries, with different systems of governance, cultural concerns, different economies, it all comes down to a lot of paperwork at the end of the day. Paperwork. And in order to try to get ahead of it, I would try and fill out everything as soon as I could. There weren't always computers, and sometimes I was just writing everything by hand. Day in and day out, at least 2 hours of paperwork, assuming everything went according to plan. If not, then you can just imagine. It was a lot of paperwork. And my wrist started hurting really bad. But I still had to work. I still had to be a cop all over the world. I tried to not think about it. I tried to ignore the issue. I kept telling myself, hey, there will be time for a break soon, and you can go to the physical therapist, and you can do what you need, and you can fix your carpal tunnel syndrome, Sonya Blade. And the crazy thing was, the break came. right after Mortal Kombat 2, I came home, I put down the weird bag of amulets that I'd brought back with me, and the first thing I did was call my insurance company and get linked up to the best physical therapist that they would cover. And the thing that drives me nuts, the thing that just nails it to the floor is that the physical therapist, who everyone says is the best in the business and who never, ever had any appointments, he could have seen me that week. The week that followed Mortal Kombat 2. And you want to guess what happened that week? Shao Kahn invaded Earthrealm under some contrived pretext, and the physical therapist, my best hope for taking proper care of my carpal tunnel syndrome, yeah, he had his soul ripped out of his body and is probably out there circling the top of the building that's shaped like Shao Kahn's head.
That's the building in the background of the rooftop stage.
Hey, at least you don't have to do any more paperwork.
Not yet.
I have 12 toes.
Okay.
More accurately, I have 7 toes on 1 foot.
That's all we have written. Thank you.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh,
Thank you, Robbie.
I so appreciate this opportunity.
oh my God.
Really appreciate the opportunity to come out and do the script for the first time. There's going to be a lot of changes hearing Alan and Cricket say these words out loud for the first time has made me realize that I need to kind of change things so it sounds better, but it will change, and we will have multiple scenes and a live fatality. A live fatality. So,
Wow.
so thank you again.
Holy
you
smokes.
guys. Oh,
I had one
Unbelievable.
thing. Melina, it's not daggers, it's actually scythe.
Well, I didn't want, they had never said that word before, and I didn't want to risk them saying it incorrectly. So daggers was...
That's smart. That's good. That's good writing.
It's a blanket term. It can mean a lot of different things.
Okay. Yeah, my bad. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are you sure there's nothing sexual about the nude beach thing? 'Cause
No, I
it's-
think it's a natural state it's a natural state you can be in. It's like, is it sexual to take a shower? Is it sexual to change your clothes when your clothes get dirty?
Sometimes.
Well, sometimes it's not. So the logic carries throughout the whole nude beach.
I have a question too.
Okay.
I really liked how the script touched on the automation of the blue collar industry, and I was wondering
Yes.
if you planned on dropping any more truth bombs within the next draft of the script, because Amazon they got drones out there.
Well, if you there's a lot of things about autonomous workers and assassins and the drone situation that we have going on all over the world, even in places that we shouldn't be as a country. And I think that if there's one thing that we need to work on, it's the tax code, because I do find that when you travel to other countries and you look at their tax forms, they have far less paperwork to do. Paperwork,
With the
it's carpal tunnel, so it ties together.
And there's health care.
They have a healthcare, and if you look at the British tax form that everybody gets is the same tax form. It's one sheet. And how many hours of the day did you lose doing your taxes this year?
2.
A lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
So
I'm still doing them.
you find ways to express yourself. You find ways to express complicated issues as subtext in a wrapper that people can really appreciate. And that's,
I think you've done it.
thank you.
I
I'm
love
trying.
the numbers. They're all great. You all-
Well, that's. Sorry. I was choked up.
Do you have any more of those sandwiches?
No, I have, hold on. I got some desk coffee if you want. It's brewed. It
I
was
don't-
brewed a long time ago. But
All right, we have coffee.
Okay, well-
coffee at the hotel.
it was in my pocket. But, wow, Wham City.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was incredible. Real quick, Robbie.
Yes.
Where else can we be seeing you guys?
All three of us will be appearing during the Adult Swim's electronic game information E3 special. That's, can I say the dates?
Yes, absolutely.
That's going to be 4 weekly episodes, Thursday night on Adult Swim at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 4 weekly episodes, May 30th, June 6th, June 13th, and June 20th.
Well, that's amazing. Even though it's in the past,
Yeah.
it's already happened. That's incredible.
Ezekiel.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for the...
Show's live.
Yeah,
It says he's an owner. What does that mean?
he's delusional. I mean, he can own whatever he owns. He owns like a pug.
We won't be doing Mortal
Oh, they're not
Kombat, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 on the show.
Okay.
We'll do something different.
Okay.
I get worried because there's so much to do.
Yeah.
You don't want to. There's so much and there's so many things that you can experience in your life.
Oh, okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm really not good at sensitivity things, so you had a friend there to hug you. But hey,
You know.
well, yeah, I'm listening.
You don't have to be sensitive. You can be. It's polite.
Oh,
It's just polite.
well, was this inspired by the TNT TV series at all?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay,
There's-
see you guys later. See you
Thank
guys
you.
later, Wham.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate everybody.
Wow.
Thank you.
I'll see you. There's sandwiches probably scattered across the floor. Bro, you go. Oh, okay, Robbie. Okay.
If you follow if you think about things and you just keep going with it, you can end up where you want to be. Thank you.
On a nude beach? Wow. Holy.